Welcome to Information Technology and Communication Africa on Web TV. On our show today, we have Manoj Hanumanji, who is a consultant at HVP Technology Consulting and Project Management. Manoj, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Tell me about Manoj Hanumanji.
Manoj Hanumanji is a Mauritian guy. I did my studies in France in IT engineering and business administration. I'm back to the country 20-25 years ago. And since then I've been working for a hotel group in Mauritius as the Chief Information Officer. And 2 years ago, I started my own business, HVP Technology Consulting and Project Management.
And Manoj, tell us what we've known Mauritius as being an IT hub. Tell us what's been the success of this IT hub and now moving more towards the communication. What has been the key ingredients for this success on the island?
The key success is back to the 80s when many students in those days wanted to study IT or computer engineering or computer science in those days. There was no IT in Mauritius in those days, but some students wanted to, these things were booming, coming up in all the newspapers and all the magazines, so they wanted to study. Without knowing that back home they will have a job, but they left. When I left, for example, there were only 2 IT guys in Mauritius, we didn't know whether we have a job or not. So when they go to France, to the UK, or to even to India to study, it was really the beginning of IT, a computer, basic language, no word like we know today. It's not a click generation, it's only character based. And things have, even in those countries, this was the beginning of IT. Those guys now, when they come back to Mauritius 10 years or 5, 10, 15 years ago, after their studies, when they work there, they come back to Mauritius, they have been exposed to that IT world, to this IT booming up in Europe, for example. And when they come back to Mauritius, they wanted to help the government to go a faster way, optimized business, to change routine. And this is how the government, for example, invested a lot of money in IT, in computer engineering those days. There is the private sector, mainly the government. And the government was a driving factor of this IT industry in those days. And so the first key success factor, I would say, our people who went to study those subjects and come back to Mauritius to help the country develop. And then the second aspect, I would say, is the government who invest with those guys, invest in new technology. Mauritius Telecom, for example, has been started looking at new success factors in IT. Air Mauritius, for example, for the airlines, started to invest in new technology because of the pressure on the international market as well, to be in line with international standards on the airline markets. Even for the communication sector like telecom. Remember, in our days, automatic calls was a long thing, and then in the 80s we had automatic call within a second, like in any Europe country. It was, I think, the first country in Africa to be able to do that in those days. So these are for me the main key success in those days. And then of course the investment in IT throughout the years. I've been given all these investment in technology, communication technology, internet. We started internet in the 1996, 95, 96 in Mauritius, which is very early for African countries.
And when we talk about the IT sector, there's a lot of focus, well, in our belief that the IT is about somebody in a room somewhere doing programming. That was the thinking about IT in the olden days, and not maybe many people were enticed to go into that sector because of being in a box somewhere, in a room somewhere doing all programming. But that's the IT. But then IT is much more than that. It's about communication, it's about something else. Can you tell me the two?
In the old days, IT was mainly data processing. You had these big data centers with a computer holding the whole place, and you have 2 or 3 guys just doing some basic programming to have people doing the data processing of the stuff, big data processing. And IT has developed in a new way of communication, in the sense that you have word processing, you have email, you have communication, voice over IP, IPTV, which are communication, which are not IT. We're not talking about IT as the basic. IT is the backbone, is the basement. But all these new technology using the IT as the medium of communication to communicate for other sectors, like IP, for example, telephony, voice. Data, of course, is IT, basic IT, and you have image, which is not TV, web TV that we're doing today. Is basically this. So all these technology has been converged. This is now talking about IT only, is not we can't. We need to talk about information and communication technology, because all these technologies now is one. On one backbone, on one fiber link, on one cable, we can do all these type of services.
We also see Mauritius as a country which has developed its BPO sector, which is linked again to the IT and the communication. What do you think has been the key ingredients for us to succeed in the BPO sector?
The main ingredient in Mauritius is connectivity, because a BPO set up in Mauritius, the main clients, the major markets are abroad, in the UK or elsewhere. So they have to communicate online with those people. So a good communication is very important to be able to resist to the market. A big communication is also money. In Mauritius, communication is very expensive. So small BPOs will not be able to live, to earn a living in Mauritius, because they have to invest a lot of money on communication. And to capture new clients, they have to invest in the communication first before getting the clients. Otherwise, it doesn't work the way around. So the main thing is this. But the success of BPOs in Mauritius is that in Mauritius we are bilingual by nature, I would say. So we have very good guys, very good IT guys, very good programmers, very good IT engineers. We speak the two main languages for the European market. Very good for that, for Mauritius. If communication and connectivity were there, it would be the ideal place to do business in the BPO.
And this sector is a dynamic sector, it's evolving. From your point of view and your expertise, where do you see the evolution of this IT and communication sector evolving in the near future locally?
In Mauritius, the biggest challenge will be connectivity. Mauritius Telecom has been doing a lot of investment in this technology sector, even MTEL, all the other guys. The biggest challenge will be connectivity, because we are a small place in the middle of nowhere. We need to communicate with others. And even within Mauritius, communication is too expensive. ADSL lines are too expensive for small markets, for small family. We need to have something which is cheap. In Europe, for example, for 20 or 30 euros, you have 100 meg or 30 or 100 megs in an apartment. You can do many things with that. In Mauritius, to have the same capacity will cost you a lot of money. So we can't give a computer to each family with a communication cost that is high. So the Mauritius government is investing. You have new guys coming on the market with this fiber link in the cities to get the prices down. This is a good trend. But Mauritius being Mauritius is small. The market is small. So the investment is very high. Invest in 4G, 3G, 4G, because they have a return investment. So the market is very small. That's why Mauritian companies, to get the good ROI out of it, they need to go abroad. They need to go in the region, to Africa, in Indian Ocean Islands, next door to Réunion Island, Madagascar. Lots of stuff we can do. We have all the resources here.
Talking about the region next door and in Africa in general, where do you see the success of this sector in the region, first of all, taking the example of Madagascar, Seychelles, and where do you see that? Where do you see the success of that sector in Africa itself?
First of all, as we invested in our people in the early 80s, those people now has been working in that industry and have the resource, have the expertise, have the knowledge. It hasn't been the case in all African countries. The African countries can benefit from that. Our generation can help those countries, to just to jump, not to do the same path as Mauritius had done for other 30 years, just to jump and just cut the gap. And this we can help African countries and our expertise, our people, our resources. And the second thing is that we have been doing many things in Mauritius. We have been investing, we have been looking at many different type of sectors, different type of new technology, which African countries can benefit from us. Don't need to go to European countries or American. To the American countries, we have the expertise down here to help them. And I think we'll be cheaper than the guys to help them develop their new technology economy.
And is HVP having this strategy to penetrate this market you've been just talking about?
HVP has, since 1.5 years now, we are trying to get into the African market with other partners, African partners and Mauritian partners settle abroad. But Africa is not an easy continent. Africa is a continent, but the different countries are different cultures. We are African by nature, continent, but we are not African as well. We don't have the same culture, we don't have the same way of thinking, we don't have the same way of doing business, as we are not Indian as well, even though we are Indian origin. So it's a very long process to get into Africa. They have so many things to do. Some countries have got 30 years backward compared to Mauritius in technology, in telecom technology. I mean, just to have a telephone at home. We're not talking about ICT in general, only of voice. So many things can be done. And it's very difficult to get, the process is very long. So 1.5 years, we have lots of contacts. We are trying to get the market, but this is the future. Africa is the market.
Manoj, thank you for being on the show with us. Just like you mentioned, connectivity, we want to be at the center of Africa, and let's hope that we become the star and the key in terms of connectivity in the region. Thank you, Manoj.
Thank you, sir.